Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It has been far too long. My name is Dee Doss. I am the host and lead field researcher for the BDRP. Now, a lot of you folks will remember me from the previous iteration of the BDRP, which ran for about 5.5 years. Consistently, of those 5.5 years, 4 of them, I was a full time field researcher of these unknown creatures they call cryptids. My primarily my primary focus was Brown Springs in southern Oklahoma, right on the Red River. Folks, I've done you a grand disservice. I've done you a disservice by not revealing or giving you the information of the spiritual aspects of this field. Now, when you hear me say that, you're going to think I'm crazy because that's I think from a spiritual mindset. So anybody who's heard me understands that I do add in the obvious nature spiritually of these creatures, that there's something else going on besides this unknown, unscientifically documented cryptid, this unknown hominid, they like to call it. There is a nature to these creatures or the environment in which they dwell that is very nefarious. It's nefarious in the fact that when you look at how it affects people's personal lives who are directly involved in the field and the creatures, people that get close, like Brown Dwarf, crazily enough, always one of the first people in chat because he is one of the greatest modern field researchers there is. The only reason tens of millions of people haven't heard of him is because he doesn't put himself out there. He's not looking for fame, fortune, anything like that. He's looking for truth and understanding. That's why I consider him a friend. Folks, over this series, which is going to be a 6 part series, and you're also going to get at least semi daily content because the whole time I've been gone, I'll get back to that. I've been recording stuff for you folks, and there's another part to the Wendy Wilson interview, all that good stuff. The main reason I've been gone is to focus on what matters: family, to better myself for my family. And God has been better to me than I have been to myself in my 37 years on this planet. And in that same vein of how good God is to us, I'd be amiss not to share with you inconvenient truths of this field because I've been involved on every level for so long, save for the past year and a half. It's unfortunate that there are people out there who would willingly deceive you. I can't speak for them. I can only speak for myself. When you put my name in your little search bar up there, you're going to see a lot of stuff pop out. A lot of it's going to be propaganda trying to bring me down, make me seem like some sort of a monster, bad guy, full of anger. For the folks that I've talked to personally, which are in the hundreds, they felt that spirit of truth move as we spoke because I have an indwelling of the Holy Spirit. If I have an indwelling of the Holy Spirit, then that's the spirit of truth. That's why through all the propaganda put out, you will never hear anybody say that I've willingly or willfully tricked anyone into believing into these creatures. What I showed was what I saw. What I've explained to you is what I experienced. These monsters are real. And I find it sad and interesting at the same time that they will not denigrate the work that I've done in this field. They'll turn me into the headless horseman, but that's okay. Who am I? That should tell you what's going on, folks. They completely destroy a whole body of evidence based off their feelings for an individual. Why? Because they're pushing a narrative. The narrative has to fit the agenda, and the agenda, unfortunately, involves deception when it comes to most of this field. Well, I'm proud to be the first one before that wave comes in to say that that's going to be put to an end. You deserve better. And there's people out there that can be better for you. You have to be so careful when you deal with subjects like this. There is a spiritual aspect to everything we do in life. We are spirits encased in a physical body. I don't know about you folks, but I believe my consciousness is going to go on far past when my fleshly body dies. I hope you believe that too, because if all we have is our little 50, 60, 70 years on this planet, then that's pretty shitty. But I've seen more. I've experienced more. When people get involved in this subject, they are seeing things that science and academia has not set their minds up to accept is real. But you know who knew it? The Norsemen who followed Leif Erikson into the United States way before the Pilgrims. The African tribesmen, like in the Congo, who still to this day say that there's what we would describe as a dinosaur just floating down the river. Big monster floating down the river. These are the cryptids that we talk about. Now, what are they? I'm sure I do not know. But you judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. When you start looking into the lives of not only the field researchers and investigators, but also the people who experience this stuff, boy, you're going to see a shit show. You're going to see supernatural events taking place within their own homes, completely separate from what's taking place in the woods. Yet there's no correlation made, not anymore at least. For instance, there's a gentleman who saw his first Bigfoot with me. He has a channel. You should go check him out. His channel could use it. He could use a boost. His name is Tex. I believe it's supernatural, paranormal, paracryptid, something research. You put in Tex and paracryptid, I think it might pop up. This gentleman has gone so far as to lead investigations through Brown Springs. Now, I'm going to say this because most people aren't stupid. They know that before I started personally investigating Brown Springs, that it was a place of lore and legend, except for people who live in southern Oklahoma like me. Folks, Tex does not have the capabilities to get you close to these creatures in a safe manner because he doesn't understand that there is a spiritual aspect to this. There's good and there's evil. All the in betweens is stuff that we make up to make ourselves feel better. Folks, the ancient Native American tribes were right. They were. There's little g gods out in the woods. The Bible is right. It is when using the analogy that was used in the New Testament, when a house is cleaned, the house being our bodies, of these occupants, the occupants being devils or demons, they will go into the dry places and bring back seven more that are worse than them. Seven more wicked spirits worse than the first. So if that wicked spirit that's been riding your back is, let's say, a spirit of heaviness, a spirit of depression, you finally are delivered from that spirit. It's going to say, all right, I understand. Cool. I got something for you, though. I'm going to bring back seven of my brothers that make me look like a joke at a picnic. We are exposing ourselves to these demons in the dry places, as the Bible puts it. Where was Jesus tempted by the devil? The Mall of America or the wilderness? Where do you find these cryptids, these monsters? Do you find them at the city park or do you find them in the deep brush? Folks, it's real simple. And that's why I'm apologizing again because I did not connect those simple dots for you. There is demonic influence within this subject, of which I've been exposed to, and many people who you like and listen to have too. The only difference is I really don't care anymore about the attacks that I get, both spiritually and of a fleshly manner. I'd be doing everyone a disservice by calling myself a child of God and not telling you the unequivocal truth of this subject. So this is the prologue to that truth, because I got to break it down. I don't know any other way to give it to you except straight up. But that being said, I have seen people's eyes turn literally as black as Toby's ass, black as oil, because they have exposed themselves to things out there in those woods and they got attachments. There was a place in their life that they were weak spiritually or morally or whatever anybody wants to call it, where some spiritual being who there's no indication that they have to eat, sleep, drink, have any kind of substance to survive and watch us, because that's what they do. They watch us. They watch us. They watch our nature, our physical movements, our behaviors, and they can adjust their plans and their machinations according to that. They have a grand advantage over us, some of us at least. So I sincerely hope at least some of you understand where I'm going with this. I'm not denigrating Tex or anybody else. I just mentioned him by name because there's no reason not to. That's the part of it. But I can no longer, in good conscience, move forward in the subject, especially being a field researcher, and not blatantly state the obvious or what should be obvious. From Coonbo Baker to Chuck Slabs to every person who you like to listen to and have spoken to in this subject who is real, who goes out there into the deep brush, who sees these things multiple times, or at least who is pursuing them. There was a channel called the BDRP, same as this one, that existed at one point in time where they all made a stop. And if they were up to snuff, I'd tell you straight up. If they weren't, I'd tell you they were bullshitters. And I didn't care what people thought of me for it. Welcome to the BDRP. This is the Dinna Prologue. Folks, for the ones of you who do not know me, I will be recounting everything from the very infancy of getting into this field until going into Stony Lonesome. All the details will be filled in for you because you have to know. You have to be in complete submission to God Himself if you're going to be in this field. And I'm not in complete submission. I don't know about anybody else. We are all sinners, but we are exposing ourselves to things that we're not, even the most hardcore born again believer would have trouble with. Because for all you Bible readers out there, I don't know if you can hear me. I haven't seen anybody complain about the audio yet, so hopefully you can. Um, for all of you who remember, there's a little story of it's crazy that I'm telling you folks this. There is a story of Jesus being tempted in the wilderness. Most of you Christians would know this. Again, we're going back to the wilderness. He went out there to fast from water and food for 30 days and 30 nights, if I'm correct on that. I believe I am. The devil takes him through these series of tasks and tests. The very last one, he took him, as the Bible describes, to the top of a high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. Now, that's very specific, and I read the KJV. There's different interpretations, but this is how I see it. When he took him to the top of a tall mountain, a high mountain, and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time, did he show him all the kingdoms of that age, or did he show him a natural progression of kingdoms as they would manifest throughout the ages? I believe the latter. I believe that he showed him a natural progression of kingdoms. And he said to him, "These are delivered unto me, and I give them to whomsoever I will. All you got to do is bow before me, kneel before me, and I'll give them to you." Jesus said, of course, "I have no part in you, Satan. You shall worship the Lord thy God, and him only shall I serve." This is the thing that people breeze past. Jesus was a savage. He didn't care what people thought about him. If the devil was lying in that moment, he would have said, "You're bullshit. You can't do that. You don't have that power. You can't give me nothing." He didn't say that, folks. He didn't say that at all. If the world embraces it, why should a born again believer not reject it? That's the term worldly from the Bible. Now, I'm not preaching at you because, as you heard me say before, God sent Jesus to save sinners, of which I am chief. But there's no reason to omit anything anymore, which I did, and I did you guys a grand disservice by that. I didn't understand it myself at the time, what I was going through and what I saw others going through in this subject, but I have a firm grasp of it now. And again, I'm sorry to a certain extent for being absent, but as you guys, if you're decent people, you're going to take care of family before anything else. This is it's not denigrated, a side gig. It was my passion for a long time, but I put too much passion into it, and that's where the problems happen. A lot of you folks have seen the stories and read the articles of people who have joined this subject when they were in their early 20s. They die in their late 60s of cancer or heart attack or something. Divorced, kids don't talk to them because they are obsessed with getting close to these monsters. Then you have some hayseed from Southern Oklahoma who's going out with no gun, with not even a real sense of what he's dealing with, being talked about on Baron Coonbo's show, the Bigfoot Outlaws. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I didn't join this to be famous or to make money. I wanted to know that I wasn't going mad. because I was seeing these creatures on the Red River. It's so far beyond that, folks. There is something going on a spiritual level that most of you feel. I don't know if you know what it is, but it's not to be taken lightly. So again, during this Dinna series, which shouldn't be that long, I'm not going to trouble you too long with it. This is the prologue. So if you're ready for the unequivocal truth about this subject from somebody who's been ingrained in it like a deer tick on a mule's ass, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get that unfiltered. And for anybody who's soft serve, what about my feelings? This modern woke generation, I would like to apologize, but I really don't care enough to. It's time that people heard the truth as it is, not as we want to filter it. There's a mighty battle coming, folks, and it's well now on its way. I'll see you on volume 1, part 1.